Welcome to our second virtual faculty development day. Our first one was in August. We haven't seen you folks in person for quite a long time. And I'm Michelle Koker. I am the Associate Dean for Undergraduate Education in the College of Continuing and Professional Studies. So I work with a number of you and have met a lot of you already. And Ritu?
Hi, I'm Ritu Saksena. I'm the Associate Dean for Graduate Education. And let me start by extending my welcome to all of you. Thank you for making time this afternoon to join us and for your commitment to teaching as part of our CCAPS community. We have a great mix of faculty, some with a long-time association with our programs, some teaching with us for the first time. We also have a wide variety of programs in CCAPS and distinct disciplinary expertise both at the grad and undergrad level. But we also have a lot that brings us together, a lot that we have in common brings us together under the CCAPS umbrella. So it's really nice to have you all here, and a lot of planning went into the sessions for today. I hope it's in the afternoon well spent as you make your last minute preparations for the spring semester. So we want to use this opportunity to share resources, talk about best practices, and also make you aware of how our teams can best support you in your teaching in the spring. A few reminders before we get started. Please stay muted through the session. If you have any questions, use the chat function. And also we have a lot of links we have a lot of the websites linked into our several resources and the slides we're sharing with you. And the presentation slides are in your Canvas site for you to go over later as well. So we won't be clicking on the links, but just a reassurance that will be available to you. We hope you find that useful. So without further ado, let's get started. So the key takeaways that we have to share with you today, one is guidelines for campus safety. I know there are lots of questions around teaching in a COVID environment. So just going over some of that with you. The expectations in the instructional environment, academic policies and guidance, and a few other resources. So preparing for the spring semester, there are lots of questions. How do we prioritize the safety of our faculty and students? Clearly, that's really important to all of us. There is a link in here for how you can keep up to date with university updates on COVID-19. Please note that masks are required everywhere on campus, and students who need accommodations such as clear masks can reach out to the Disability Resource Center. So that's an option available to students. We also have a link in here for university guidance on how to deal with student positive cases. We hope this is not something you will need in your teaching in the spring, but we do know the pandemic is, hasn't quite abated as yet. So there'll be some of that. Just wanting to put that out there for your benefit. In terms of other things, spring break has been delayed this semester. This was decision made by campus level leadership. It now is April 5th to 9th, which is later than it usually is, as many of you might already know. And perhaps most importantly, the classroom buildings will be locked, and all students and faculty will need U cards, just in case you're teaching in person. I know several of you are teaching online or remote, but in case you are teaching in person, that's something to bear in mind too. And to go back to the spring break, this thing I just wanted to say, spring break is delayed. So if you want to think about some kind of a break for students, maybe some kind of leniency for students in March, because it will be a long semester. Just work that into your assignments, deadlines, and things like that. Around guidance, around teaching in the classroom, as I said, I know most of you are not teaching in person, but for those who are, sanitizing supplies are available in classrooms and in common spaces. So there are hand sanitizer stations in common spaces. Students are expected to clean their own space. That's not something that we expect faculty to do. The students will be responsible for that. There are also clear markers in the classroom, stickers, decals, posters, chair covers. all of that to make sure we're following COVID-19 guidelines. And if you're interested, there is more information available on how classrooms are laid out and structured. And we are looking at capacity issues, and classrooms have only been assigned depending on classroom capacity, and that has been reduced greatly. So just so to be clear on all of this. Michelle, do you want to take over?
Sure. So we just have some items on academic guidance for you as well. And just remember again that these slides are going to be part of the Canvas site, or they are part of the Canvas site that you can go back to and refer to later and click on the links if you are interested. So we are, again, as we did for fall semester, we continue to strongly encourage faculty to use the Canvas Gradebook and the basic rubrics. These are strongly recommended. They will help you. It's just a best practice there. If you have questions about using Gradebook, if you feel like you need support for that, I will actually, or we will, I'll be mentioning on the next slide, there are a couple of different websites that are resources to you. And they would also include some information about how to use Gradebook, how to use some other Gradebook related resources too. So if you need that, that's available. We encourage, oh, whoops, sorry, I'm not done with that slide yet, Ritu. I think the next one was regarding leniency. We continue to encourage faculty to exercise some leniency and accommodate students who have been affected by COVID, who have family members who've been affected by the pandemic. It's important that you continue to do that, obviously within reason, and also whatever works for the student and yourself together. I'm not sure, because there was one more item on that prior. There we go. Okay. Recommended strategies for addressing mask non-compliance. Again, this isn't a link, but if you have students, so if you're teaching on campus and you have a student or students who are not willingly donning masks, which is required for them in order to be on campus, there are some guidelines for how faculty can handle that. It's important that faculty try to obviously diffuse any kind of sensitive situations here. And there's all kinds of recommendations for, the different steps in order to de-escalate something that could potentially be a source of conflict. So again, that will be on the links that we'll provide. So go ahead, Ritu, next slide. If you have any questions or concerns that come up throughout the spring semester or even before spring semester starts, please don't hesitate to contact Michelle Iwin if you are a graduate instructor, or myself if you are an undergraduate instructor, or if you're an undergraduate instructor, you can always reach out to your faculty director or to Tony Scott if you are teaching in our construction management, manufacturing operations management, health services management, or IT infrastructure majors. I mentioned previously that there are a couple of websites for faculty that could prove to be extremely useful to you. You may already be familiar with them. For faculty questions, we have the Atd Faculty Resource page, Atd being Academic and Technology Design, and that is a unit within CCAPS. And it's a really great resource. So that is a great place to go to just for support for teaching online mainly, but also for other issues too. We also have a central office at the university called the Center for Educational Innovation. And they have a wonderful website, and they have a page. Actually, this link links directly to their page on spring semester teaching support. So there's ongoing training. There are guidelines and suggestions for how to deal with a variety of different scenarios in the classroom. So that's a really great resource. And then finally, on this slide, if you have questions related to the prevention testing and contact tracing around COVID on campus, there's a resource page for you as well. You can refer students to that resource page. It does give them information about where they can get testing. It also gives a link to community resources for testing for faculty and other employees. So there's lots of really good information on that page too.